Welcome to Five or Flop, a podcast for the best and worst historical fiction has to offer. I'm your host, Erin.
And I'm Grace, and each week we'll be reading a different historical fiction book to see if they're a five or a flop.
The theme for this season is Reading Rainbow, which is LGBTQ plus books, and today we're reading Dead Day Girls by Nekesa Afia.
We have read some other genre books. We've read romance, and now I think this is our first pod mystery.
And I was very excited for it because I am a big mystery reader.
And I was not excited for it because we put it on the list because it has bad reviews.
Really bad. Like this one, I know we've had a ton of flops this season, but this was the one that was picked because it was a flop.
And we didn't need to do that, but we didn't know it yet.
We didn't know that we were overloading the season.
But I think we'll have some surprising things to say about this one.
Yes, and I think it will connect back to the genre piece, so definitely keep that in mind.
Oh, yeah. Erin, what's up with you?
My good friend Riley is visiting, and I'm really excited.
Woo!
So at the time of recording, not this weekend, but next weekend, she's going to be in town, and I am super excited. She's flying from Arizona, so I'm excited. I never have friends visit.
And we're having a little party.
We are having a little party, and then going out to Wonderland, which is the classic club we go to here usually. I think at this point. We've changed over the years, but I think we've settled.
I have been there a handful of times. They always are trying to give out free Fireball.
All the time.
I don't know if they bought too much of it
years ago.
2 years ago, 3 years ago, and they're still trying to get rid of it. They are really trying to upsell you on the Fireball.
And there. It's not a shot. It's the size of 2.5 shots.
And then if you ask, you have to ask the right bartender to give it to you with lemonade or something.
Yeah.
Some of them will say you're not allowed, and then some of them will just do it.
I always say, can I get that? And I'm like, and then can I order a Sprite for my friend? And that's my workaround, because Fireball in Sprite or lemonade is not bad.
Passable.
Fireball on its own,
Bad.
But anyways, what is new with you?
I have not been doing that well this week physically.
Aww.
So it's reading, it's baths. I've got to perk up for the party.
Exactly. Luckily, you have time to recover.
I know. It's very important.
We just got back from our trip to Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, so the excitement of the bustling metropolis really knocked Grace off her feet.
Probably. I mean, it's not every day that you go to the 17th most populous city in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania.
Anyways, what are you reading in the bathtub right now?
I actually read something kind of crazy for me, which is a YA novel on purpose.
Oh!
Yeah, it's a horror YA novel. The title is I Feed Her to the Beast, and the Beast is Me.
I hate that title.
Which is a whole sentence. I think it's great. But it's really good. I would actually recommend it even if you're a grown-up. It's about a girl who is the only Black trainee at the Paris Ballet.
Mm-hmm.
And she makes a deal with this blood chaos demon entity that lives in the catacombs in exchange for power.
Hmm.
And she becomes the monster. So
Oh,
I would highly recommend it, actually.
Wait,
it was weird, but very good.
That does sound really good.
Mm-hmm.
I
what
like
about
that.
You?
Back to audiobook land. I am listening to The Hunting Party by Lucy Foley.
Okay.
And I also just finished The Midnight Feast, which I can't remember if I talked about, but I thought I'd mention both of them because they're both mystery.
Yes.
And that is in line with this week. The Midnight Feast I really, really liked. The Hunting Party, I'm only a little bit into it so far, so I have more reviews to come. But I've read The Guest List by Lucy Foley before. I like her mystery. It's not are they the best mysteries I've ever read? No. But I like them. I don't see the twists coming, and that's always what I enjoy. Unlike in this book, where I saw every single twist coming.
Well, speaking of twists, do you want to serve us up the synopsis?
Sure, that was not a segue at all, but that's okay.
I did my best.
Harlem, 1926. Young Black women like Louise Lloyd are ending up dead. Following a harrowing kidnapping ordeal when she was in her teens, Louise is doing everything she can to maintain a normal life. She's succeeding, too. She spends her days working at Maggie's Cafe and her nights at Zodiac, Harlem's hottest speakeasy. Louise's friends, especially her girlfriend, Rosa Maria Moreno, might say that she's running from her past and the notoriety that still stalks her, but don't tell her that. When a girl turns up dead in front of the cafe, Louise is forced to confront something she's been trying to ignore. 2 other local Black girls have been murdered in the past few weeks. After an altercation with a police officer gets her arrested, Louise is given an ultimatum. She can either help solve the case or wind up in a jail cell. Louise has no choice but to investigate and soon finds herself toe-to-toe with the murderous mastermind hell-bent on taking more lives, maybe even her own. ...
Okay, so not a bad premise.
No, I liked
Harlem
it.
mystery. This great main character who's this black flapper girl solving crime.
I thought it was a great synopsis. I think it has enough info to get a reader interested, but was short and snappy enough. I liked it.
Mm-hmm. But okay, never mind. We'll wait until we get into discussion to talk about that. Tell us about Nekesa Afia.
Yes. So Nekesa, this is her debut. She's had more books published since, but I really cannot find much about her. I didn't dig super hard. Like I didn't go the LinkedIn route this time. She's a newer author. I mean, this was published in 2021 was her debut, so no really awards or anything. There's also just not as many notable awards for mystery, I don't think.
Sad.
Or at least there are so many mysteries that there's,
Yeah.
not all books get them.
Mm.
But the author lives in Toronto, and as I said, this is her debut, but there are now 3 total books in the series as of 2024, all following Louise, and she has another book that's set in 1930s Hollywood, which I really like the premise of. However, am I going to read it? Probably not. So from her website, this is her bio that she has. I'm Nekesa Afia, mystery writer with a love of musicals. Other things I love are hot chocolate, long walks, swing dancing, and sewing. I'm a true crime obsessive and love to put together puzzles. And that is all there is on her bio.
Okay, well, I'm a girl who likes puzzles, so...
And a girl who likes musicals.
And long walks. Actually, Nekesa and I would probably be, like, best friends.
Honestly, because you went to that swing dance thing. No, you went to a line dance thing.
No, it was swing dance.
Was it swing? Okay,
Well,
I was out of town.
I went to 2 dance things.
Ooh.
And also, we know one other thing about Nekesa Afia. If you just give me a second, I will pull it up. The dedication of her book. Keep in mind, this is her debut book.
This is her first ever dedication.
And this is what it is. To Aaron Tveit, I'm free on Thursday night and would like to hang out. Please respond to this and then hang out with me on Thursday night when I'm free.
I love a fun dedication. I think people sometimes take them too seriously.
When I first read it for a split second, I saw To Aaron Tveit and I was like, she knows him? Clearly she does not know him, but I know him. So I was like, oh, we're starting on the same level.
I did enjoy that. I'm guessing you haven't read anything else by her yet?
No, I actually was like, I don't have more to say. I was like, I've heard of her before, but like, yes, I've heard of her because we were researching books to put on this list and we put this one on.
Yes.
So
I will say I did, and I think it's because of just how the animation on the cover looked. I thought this was a YA book until I started reading it.
Yeah, it has
honestly
an illustrated cover, but not one of the ones that like romance novels have now. It's just an illustration of a woman in a jazz club.
Until she was like in the jail cell when they started like sexually harassing her, I thought it was a young adult novel.
And then clearly not.
But we'll get to all of that. Actually, we might not even bring that up again because it's a very minor part of the book.
That's enough.
Anyways, our judgments come based on the book and characters within the book rather than any real historical figures they may have been based on, and spoilers ahead.
We're diverging a little bit here.
Yes.
I thought this was okay.
This was atrocious. It was so bad to the genre of mysteries.
Yeah. Clearly, there are some craft things here that need to be worked out. I haven't read the other 2 books in the series. I probably won't. I didn't like this quite enough to do that, I don't think. And also, I don't read a ton of mysteries either. I like them. I'm just not grabbing for them all of the time. There would probably be things ahead of that in line. However, I did see the possibility that this just has debut syndrome and could improve, like we said with the Davenports.
Mm-hmm.
Or with something else that we just said recently. I don't know. That could be already proven false, and I'm not sure.
We've read a couple debuts. This was the clearest debut. Like, if you had just put no info about any of the pod books, you just put all the debuts we read in front of me and said, there is one debut here. What is it? I would point to this one, no question. Just like weak writing, weak characters, weak plot. Like, it's not great.
Mm-hmm. I really do like the main character, Louise. I feel like I understand her.
She was likable.
She's written very well. The information that is around Louise is not the best presented.
No. So let's start talking just with the overall premise of the book, and then we'll get into the details. So these Black women are being murdered. They're like teenage girls.
They're very young.
They're working at a speakeasy, doubling as prostitutes.
Mm-hmm.
And Louise gets into an altercation with a police officer. I kind of forget it was something very, very minor.
It made a lot of sense to me because the premise of the book is these girls are being murdered. The white police are investigating it. Louise gets arrested for interfering with an arrest. A policeman is arresting another drunk black girl, and Louise tries to defend her, which I was like, good characterization. I get why she did that.
Yeah.
And they make her a deal where they're like, okay, you can go to jail or you can assist with the investigation.
And
because there are people that'll trust you that won't trust us.
Yes. And part of why they ask her is because she had been kidnapped and like freed herself and other young black women.
Yes. She's the Harlem Hero is her nickname.
Okay. Suspension of disbelief. Like the police are not going to ask her that. All right. Whatever.
But I think it was explained enough for it to be like, for me to accept it.
Oh, yeah. I did not. I was like, okay, this wouldn't happen in real life, but also whatever.
But it's a book. Yeah.
But notably, the detective asks her this, gives her this ultimatum.
Yes.
So then she's kind of investigating and kind of we get in this repeat pattern of she meets a girl and then the girl winds up dead like a couple times in a row.
Yeah. And it's like, stop talking to them.
Yeah, right. Also what's happening, she keeps going to Speakeasy. She has a girlfriend, Rosa Maria, who's like barely in the book at all. And like the whole time she's like, this is the love of my life. I have no question we're spending our lives together. Rosa Maria is like barely in this thing.
No, and she had one scene that was so great when Rosa Maria, she works at a newspaper. I think she works at the Tribune. And she lets Louise in to look for something in the archive. Like she's not supposed to be there, but Rosa Maria is doing her a solid because Rosa Maria also doesn't want these girls to be murdered.
Yeah.
And then Louise comes up to like the floor where she and her boss are working and makes a big scene. And later Rosa Maria yells at her for it.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's great. Like you're showing so much character. You're showing conflict, like not in a way that you think that they're going to break up or anything. But I'm like, you're showing not just passivity from this side character. And I would have loved to see more of it.
Yes. Yeah, I wish she was in it. It seems like, based on the very brief, like, 1 or 2 lines I read about the second book, it seems like she's a bigger character in the second book.
Good.
But then the third book takes place in Paris, so I don't know how Louise gets there, and I don't know if Rosa Maria is there also, but...
Well, I hope so.
We may never find out. To get to a lot of my issues with this book, I have to just, I know we said no spoilers ahead. The detective is the one murdering the girls.
Yes.
And basically it's out of revenge because he used to date a black girl who like left him or something.
Yeah, there's a line where he's like, Louise is like, you're killing these girls. And he's like, I'm saving them. And I'm like, I don't know what you mean by that.
That's not, his motivations are never really fleshed out.
It's very muddy. And it's also pretty muddy how they figure out that it's him.
They like do something with the Ouija board to like see if he reacts to it. I don't know.
Yeah, they're like, we're going to talk to Laura, who's his ex-girlfriend that died.
Yeah, he didn't even murder his ex-girlfriend. She like died in a house fire.
It was
yeah.
Anyway.
But we know literally the biggest thing with mysteries is you cannot be fucking giving away stuff every single page. And this author, God love her, puts in all of these like little foreshadowing lines. Like, for example, when she meets with one of the girls who wind up dying, last sentence of the chapter, that was the last time Louise ever saw her alive. Like, we don't need that. We're about to find out she died. We don't need that. And she fucking gives it away with the detective on page 56 of the book. And I wrote it down because I remember as soon as I read that, I'm like, oh, the detective is the killer. Literally page 56. It had been given away. Her sister's like, I don't really trust that detective. And then in the narration, it's like, Louise didn't push back on her sister. If only she had believed her. 56 and I know who the killer is?
Well, in defense of Nekesa,
I have no
that
defense.
went over my head. I mean, I knew I was like, okay, he's going to be shifty. But then I didn't think that meant he was the murderer.
It could, yeah, and it could have been played off, and it would have been fine if it was played off. But she just had so many of these foreshadowing lines, and like you were doing yourself such a disservice. Mm-hmm. And also, you're treating the reader like an idiot. For mysteries, especially, you should not be treating your reader like an idiot. Like the fun part is like having the reader play along and try to solve it without giving the whole damn thing away. Mm-hmm. I was so mad. I was so angry.
And I did not help because I read this first. And we were not expecting much because we knew that the reviews were really bad. Mm-hmm. And I texted you and I was like, actually, it's pretty good.
I was so mad.
Okay, I need to explain a little bit about why I thought it was good. First of all, let's not forget what I read immediately before this. The House of Doors.
Okay,
a book that's terrible and that I hate. And then so you can imagine that next I'm reading Dead Dead Girls, which is a book that I do not expect to be good at all, even a little. So I'm like, I have to read this book. So one night, like I'm cozy in my bed, right before I go to sleep, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to read a couple chapters. I'll get a jump start on my reading for tomorrow. So I read the prologue, which is the day in her youth that Louise was kidnapped and then she escaped and helped the other girls escape.
Which I also hated that prologue.
Why?
I thought it was, I opened it, I'm like, this is giving so much debut novel. I'm like, this is shit I would write in high school. Like,
I liked it. Anyway, I was intrigued. So I was like, okay, maybe this won't be so bad. And then the next day was a Saturday, which is crucial. Because I set up the creme de la creme of all reading experiences. Imagine when Erin was reading The Luminaries on Benadryl on the flight to Japan. It was the opposite of that. It was thunderstorming outside. I put the 12-hour fire video on the TV.
Safely on the ground and not in air.
Yeah, in my house. Cozy on the couch, watching the thunderstorm. I have a cup of tea. I have a blankie. I have some pillows. I'm reading a mystery book in the middle of the day. So it's fantastic. So as I'm reading the book, which I think to the book's benefit is not long.
No, I read this very quickly also.
And granted, I told Erin, I was like, nothing that you say I'm going to really disagree with, except I guess, yes, because I liked some of those stupid little lines that you hate so much, and I liked the prologue. But as it kept going, I was like, yeah, I am noticing that it's getting worse. However, it was not dulling my sparkle.
Another thing with the mystery genre that I think is important, you can't have too many deaths in it.
There were very many, and they were not different.
Back to back to back to back, like all the same thing.
Yeah.
Should we talk about her family?
Yes, because actually this was my biggest problem.
So she has like a bunch of issues with her family. Like it's insinuated she was kicked out. She doesn't get along with her father, this whole thing. The author doesn't really go into detail. I'm fine with that for the purposes of, I know this is the first in a series. I'm going to give it the benefit of the doubt and say this is all thoroughly explored later on.
But also, it's not really given the sense that, oh, this is the info we need now and there is more to come later. Like, there's info that I wanted right now that I just didn't get. For example, she has 3 sisters. One of the sisters is engaged. Like, it starts in the very beginning of the book. She comes and says, Louise, guess what? I'm engaged. Their other sister is really shifty about it. She's like, I don't think she should be getting married. I don't like this guy. So, it's this whole setup in the beginning. You never find out who the fiance is, like what his name is even. You don't meet him. You don't know why the second sister thinks he's so shifty. I thought that it was going to turn out that the sister was engaged to the detective, and that's what the problem was. Mm-hmm. That was not true. So then I was just like, why do we get all this weird setup about the sister being engaged when it's not relevant?
And then the sister fucking dies.
And the sister dies.
And we never get an answer to anything.
Yeah, because I guess she's not getting married.
No. That was also bad. There were too many deaths. There's just so much going on. Like, and then the murder wasn't even set up well. Like, his motivations were so, like, whatever. Then why did he bring Louise? He was a white detective in 1920s Harlem. Why did he not just shove this case under the rug? Why were they even investigating it? He was running the whole thing.
Yeah. Oh, well, and of course, to clarify, I don't think we said this explicitly. The detective doing the murders is also the guy that kidnapped Louise all those years ago. Mm-hmm. So I guess he, like, brought her in on it to finish the job, which is like, okay, fine. Like, you have a motivation as pertains to the specific woman. But, like, clearly you don't need to use the power of the police force to do all these murders. Because I think by the end of the book, he successfully murdered, like, 6 or 7 women.
Yeah.
So clearly you can get away with it.
And I don't, like, this whole, like, shtick about bringing her on to investigate. And, like, why would he do, like, what is his motivation for even doing that? Like, as you said, he's the one with the power here.
Yeah. Yeah. I can't tell you you're wrong, because you're not wrong.
I was so excited to read a mystery for the pod. And I think sometimes mysteries do just get bad reviews sometimes. Yeah. So I was still, like, holding out hope that, and then you got my hopes up.
I'm sorry. Listen, you all may be surprised by this, because I'm so smart, but I am the ideal reader for a mystery author, because it doesn't matter how obvious it is. I will not guess. Whatever your twist is, I will not guess what it is.
For the most part, like, I've read a lot of mysteries now. So back when I first started reading them, I would say the same thing about myself. But at this point, I'm like, let's cut the shit with the foreshadowing. Like, please treat me like I'm intelligent.
Mm-hmm. Well,
yeah, I didn't
sorry,
like
Nekesa.
I had another thing to say, but I don't remember what it was, and it really can't be that
Well, here, I
important.
have a couple things to say that are
Okay.
super not important. First of all, the friend group that
Oh, I know what it
was.
was. You go first, though.
Oh, okay. So Rosa Maria had a brother, Raphael, and that was the little friend group. Rosa Maria and Raphael and Louise. And Raphael is a gay bartender. He really does not give a shit about the murders.
No.
Like, to the point where I thought he was the murderer. Because I was like, why does he not care about any... Like, he's trying to, like, sleep with the detective who is the murderer. So I just kind of thought it was funny because I was like, Raphael does not give a shit that all these women are getting murdered and that his friend is investigating it and is in danger.
Yeah.
The other thing is I just liked all of the slang. There is an extremely heavy-handed use of slang.
That is what I was going to say, was the slang of this. Oh my god, there was so much slang in this book. It was a disservice to the prose for me.
It's packed into the beginning much more. I think it comes out more in the scenes where she writes where the characters are dancing in the speakeasy.
She really wants to set that scene.
Yeah. So my favorite line is everything's Jake, babe. So I'm going to start saying that when things are good. I'm going to say everything's Jake.
I love when they say giggle water.
Giggle water. That's a good one. There were a couple others that are not in common parlance. Like, these are not ones that people use now when they're trying to reference the 20s, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. So it was very heavy-handed. And it sums up what I think about this book, which is, was it good? No. Was I delighted? Yeah.
This was a fun for Grace, getting ahead of ourselves.
Yeah, it was a fun.
You want to go into historical accuracy?
Yes, tell me.
I don't have too much because I think I want to have a conversation instead.
Oh.
So let me set the stage a little bit. 1920s Harlem, that was the peak of the Harlem Renaissance, which was the intellectual and cultural revival of the African American community, not necessarily just in Harlem. That was kind of like the heartbeat. Yeah, the epicenter, the heartbeat. A lot going on in Paris as well. I think just in the 20s in Paris, there were a lot of like American cultural activities going on there.
Mm-hmm.
And that extended to the Black community as well. Harlem was always a destination for migrants, but it really became a Black neighborhood in the early 1900s. From between 1914 to 1930, the African American population in Harlem grew from about 50,000 to about 200,000.
Ooh.
And speakeasies were also growing in popularity in Harlem during that time. That was during the height of Prohibition, when alcohol was outlawed here in the U.S., and it really led to the flourishing of jazz music and jazz clubs in the area.
Fun.
Now to the conversation. So I have a quote from the author from an interview she did for some website. I don't know. Seemed like a blog. And that quote is, "I always say that I could have written this story in the 2020s, and the only thing that would have changed was the fashion." And there are two threads I want to pull on here. Both not good, but both different ways not good.
Uh-huh.
The first one is that it's truly horrendous that this story could basically still happen as it is because Black women just do not see any justice still.
Yeah.
100 years later.
That's the thing that hit me when I saw this quote that you've put in the doc. Yeah. And it completely makes, like, I completely understand what she means, like 100%. Yes. And it is very sad that that is true.
But then I think the other thread that is important to note, on the basis that we are a historical fiction podcast, why are you making something historical if it doesn't need to be? Like, what is the value add there aside from the slang and the outfits?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what about this setting? Why is it important then? Mm-hmm. If you could just come out and say, well, I could have written this set today, and all that would need to change is the outfits. Mm-hmm. I think it has a much deeper important meaning in relation to, you know, the injustice Black women face. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, from a literary standpoint, why are we doing all of this? Mm-hmm. What is the value add of history? Especially in this book where, to me, it really just was, she wanted to set it in speakeasies.
Yeah, I can see that. I think it's hard to know how much she means that.
Yeah.
Like, is that what she's referencing? Is it kind of a Freudian slip? I don't
will
know.
say, from the interview, I skimmed the whole thing. The interview had a pretty light tone to it from what I remember. I might be like mixing up a couple things I read, mm-hmm. but it felt like that was in a bit lighter context.
Okay. I could have sworn we had another book that we have read for the pod where we said that the setting was not relevant to the author. Like, it could have been set at any other time.
We definitely have.
The setting did a lot for me. I feel like if there had been more setting and time specific stuff, I wouldn't have quibbled with that either. Mm-hmm. But that is an interesting point to bring up, how you think, yeah, like, do you just want to write this because of the aesthetic of the time or
Yes.
not?
And actually, give me a second because I'm going to find where I found this quote again. Okay, I have found the full context of the quote I pulled from.
Okay.
I always say that I could have written the story in the 2020s, and the only thing that would have changed was the fashion. I'm a huge historical fiction person, and part of the longing to write a period piece was to see myself as the main character and not the side character, villain, or victim, if we even exist at all. That confuses me because I don't really know how that ties into a period piece necessarily.
I think it's just like there's not as much.
Oh yeah,
there's not black as much women are the protagonists.
Okay, I completely agree. Sorry, I don't know why that one really stumped me. I'm like,
well, it's a slight topic change, yeah.
It is a topic change, and that's I think why it threw me. Part of writing in an era that you don't live in is accepting the fact that you'll never be able to get the details correct. It's impossible. For me, it was a lot of reading and a lot of scouring the internet for exact garments and patterns for clothes. I'm also lucky to have brilliant siblings who don't mind being asked weird questions. So that quote really comes out of left field in that section to me. To me, it does seem like a lighter, less of a social commentary kind of quote and more of a wanted the setting.
I think it has really firmed up that she wrote this book and she said it when she did to be a reflection of today. To think about the issues of today is the purpose of this book. It's like The Crucible. It's like The Crucible is about the witch trials, but it's not really about the witch trials. It's about McCarthyism. This book is, sure, it's set in the 20s, but what it's supposed to do is get you to think about now.
Yeah.
Which, great thing to do for your book. Thumbs up. Love The Crucible. Then you just have to wonder, though, from the perspective of, for example, to people who have a podcast about historical fiction, where does that fall in line with people who select the era that they're writing for that era and not for our current era?
Yes. It leads me to the question of, I think as it relates to our pod, that historical accuracy section of our star calculator, like whether history was used well in this being a historical fiction book or not.
Yeah.
Or was it for setting purposes?
And as is the purpose of the calculator, that's only one piece of the puzzle.
Yes, of course. But I thought that was just kind of an interesting head-scratching quote, and kind of in the greater context, it's just, I don't really know what she meant by it, I guess, is the answer. You know what? She's living her life. It was a book.
That you did not like.
That I did not like. But if it was
not
meaningful,
for this reason.
No, not for this reason at all. If it was meaningful to her to have this character set in this time period, sure.
Well, I think that's...
Personally, if I were writing a book set in this time period, I would have... The decisions I would have made as an author, I would have maybe picked someone who was an actual living person to kind of not have to be the main character, but have some tie-in to make that setting just a bit more relevant.
Mm-hmm.
But again, I'm not the author.
I think that's a great segue into our star calculator.
Yes, and I'll just read off the categories since I already gave that little reminder of what one of them are. So our categories for our star calculator are historical accuracy, originality, characters, prose, and vibes. And I'm going to let you go first.
All righty then. So for historical accuracy, I have given this a 2 just because there's not that much research or specificity involved. Originality, I've given it a 4. I like the concept. I think it's a great concept, especially when you consider Louise to be the pillar around which a series is going to turn. Mm-hmm. I find that fun. I like her as a character. So characters 3, it's kind of similar to what I said way back when we read The Henna Artist, mm-hmm. which is that I like the main character and I don't think many of the others work. Then there are ones that I liked, like Raphael and Rosa Maria, that you just don't see enough of. And there are ones that I thought were really vague and sketched in, like the detective or Louise's sisters. Prose 2, it was not shaped very well. I will admit that, even though I enjoyed it. But vibes, it's a 4. I had a great time with that. Like, I was just kicking my feet.
And finally, Grace has a fun.
Drinking my tea. So that's a 3. That is a fun. I rated this on Storygraph a 3.75. Which
I saw that. That got my hopes so high.
Listen, is that too high based on the book that I read? Now that it's been a little bit, like, certainly, but I stand by it. I had fun.
Okay, well, that's all that matters, and frankly, that's why we do the podcast, for the love of the game.
Exactly.
I was not loving the game this week. Historical accuracy, I gave it a 2. Like, what was in there was accurate, but at the same time, like, I just The reasoning for it being set when it was, aside from just the aesthetics, is just really not working for me. Originality, I give it a 1, and I think it's because I am a mystery reader. Like, it was just so predictable. I knew what was going to happen. Like, I've read books very similar to this one before. It didn't work. Characters, completely agree with you. I also gave it a 3. I liked Louise, didn't care.
I'm surprised by that, kind of.
Yeah, I mean, I think she was a good character.
Just the 3 overall surprises me. That seems very generous from you.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? You got to do it somewhere. I did like her. I liked her personality. And I think all the choices and this was something I didn't touch on. I do think all the choices and actions that she made and did were in line with her.
Yeah.
And they all were
her motivations were very strong.
Yes. Prose, I gave it a 2. I had fun with the slang. I did.
Everything's Jake, babe.
Vibes, I gave it a 2 because I was really excited to read a mystery. And I do like the aesthetics of the 20s. Do I think this is not an issue of this book at all, but do I think the 20s are very overused in historical fiction? Absolutely.
Oh, it's second only to World War II.
Exactly. And I'm never going to hold that against an individual book itself, but like the genre is oversaturated. So that's a 2 overall. That was a big old flop for me. If it wasn't I mean, I don't know how the book would have worked if it wasn't a mystery, right? But like if the characters in the setting, I think I could have had fun with something not a mystery.
Mm-hmm. Well, you definitely did get your hopes up, and I'm very sorry for that. Your Storygraph rating was a 1.75.
So I was pretty accurate.
So a whole 2 stars lower than me. Oh well. But I have listen, I've said this before and I've gotten myself into trouble, but I have high hopes for next week's book.
Okay, and what is that?
Fingersmith by Sarah Waters.
All right, I'm going to trust you. I don't know if I should anymore, though.
I'm sorry!
Honest. You can always make sure to follow us on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok at @5flop_pod to see more of Grace's terrible book takes.
And if you follow our Storygraph reading challenge, perhaps you can see what we rated some of the books, if you're friends with us already, to see if you agree or not. Or if there are any books that you think we should be reading for this season or any future seasons, you can fill out the recommendation form in the bio of any of our social medias.
Specifically, if you want to expose Grace to some good mysteries, fill out that form. You can also email us at 5floppodcast@gmail.com for any inquiries. And until next time,